Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Vindy, and here on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. I am very excited about today's video because it is a video that is very near and dear to my heart. Just in case you've been wondering, I have been married twice, and my last marriage was very toxic, and I've never really talked about it on the channel before. I won't be talking about it a lot today, but that last marriage changed so much about me, so much about how I saw myself, so much about how I see my self-worth. So I was reflecting on this, and I decided that my feminine energy began to thrive ever since I left that first relationship. And now I have enough awareness to understand how I am thriving. So all that to say, today's video is about how to heal your feminine energy, how to heal your ego from toxic masculinity. Okay? So before we get into it, I would like to quickly mention today's sponsor, Camy Essentials. Camy Essentials is a Black-owned line that makes products for the body. These products include handmade soap, body oil, whipped body butter, bath salts, and other goodies. Maybe, why do you only want to bother me when I'm filming? I have used the handmade soap, the bath salts, as well as the body butter. If I had to pick a favorite product, it would be the rose whipped body butter for multiple reasons, but my two favorite reasons is I am a stickler on packaging, and they come in these really beautiful glass jars. And what I really like about the whipped body butter is when I first saw how big the jar was, I thought, oh gosh, I'm gonna go through this in like a week. And then once I began to use it, I realized how little you need and how well the products actually break down. I am so grateful for the way that they make their whipped body butter because of the ingredients in it. All the products from Camy Essentials are vegan, no beeswax even. So when I saw how the product broke down and when I started to put the product on my skin, I was really impressed by how the product sunk into my skin to provide me with moisture, but I didn't have to be like, what's sinking into my skin? You know, because I know it's vegan and I know it's all natural, and that is really cool. So if you need a new Black-owned skincare line, I would definitely check out Camy Essentials because their body products are everything. Okay, let's get into the video. So in order to talk about how to heal the ego from toxic masculinity, we first have to address two things: ego and toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. The ego is your identity, how you see yourself. Top layer for me would be I am a 28-year-old Black woman. Going a little bit deeper, I'm 27. Why don't I ever know how old I am? I am a 27-year-old Black woman, but going a little bit deeper than how I identify myself on the surface, I am a content creator that really enjoys law of attraction content. I have these favorite books. I have these favorite movies. I was really inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King when I was younger. I was really inspired by Beyonce when I was younger. All the things that make you, you, create your identity, okay? Because we have our identity, and then we have our higher selves, our spirit. Our spirit guides us, and our spirit is what connects us to source. But our identity is what creates our personality. Our identity is what makes us unique. Our identity is our ego. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of toxic masculinity, but basically toxic masculinity are masculine traits to the extreme. So if you don't know a lot about the different feminine energy traits and masculine energy traits, I highly encourage you to look those up so you can have a better understanding. But for example, feminine would be dark, masculine would be light. Feminine would be the moon, masculine would be the sun. Feminine would be passive, masculine would be aggressive. So Again, if you've looked this up, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you're starting to get confused, maybe do a little bit of research on different traits that define masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy, in a healthy way, encourages an individual to be productive, to get things done. And in order to be productive and to get things done, you have to be pretty sure of yourself. You have to be pretty confident. So that can become toxic very quickly, especially in our society, because we live, if you're in America, we live in a very masculine society. So how this becomes toxic is by assertive. It can, person who identifies as very masculine can become over assertive, not letting others have opinions and deciding that their opinion is the only one that matters and is the only opinion that anyone needs to reference, especially in a relationship. Feminine energy is passive. Feminine energy listens and observes and then makes a decision. Masculine energy is very face value. What you see is what you get. And that can become aggressive. That can become overly aggressive if it goes into the toxic, in the realm of toxicity. Too much aggression can lead to physical abuse as well as emotional abuse in order to maintain control and power. Feminine energy is very free. It's water. Masculine energy is very solid and contained. It's very stoic. So that can also become, in a toxic way, very confining, very do not do what I don't expect, or else that will make me angry. Okay, so just a few examples of what toxic masculinity is. If you choose to do some research on your own and you choose to look up toxic traits, just know that I mean that toxic masculinity are toxic traits or are masculine traits to the extreme. My first marriage, I'm currently in my second marriage, but my first marriage I got married very young. I didn't know a lot about myself or a lot about my self-worth. And in my first marriage, I was abused emotionally as well as sexually. And it took me a lot to heal from that. And where I started was by healing my ego. When I got out of that first marriage, I realized that I didn't know who I was. And I didn't try to find out who I was for a while because I wasn't on my spiritual journey yet. But when I began to understand that I was self-sabotaging and that I was kind of floating from relationship to relationship, not really knowing who I was or what I wanted, I realized I had to define some things. So this is what we're talking about when we say rebuilding the ego. This is how we start to heal the ego. The first part of this step is giving yourself permission to heal from your partner or from your ex-partner or from your family member, wherever the toxic masculinity came from. The first step of rebuilding yourself and your ego is giving yourself permission to heal. A lot of that healing comes from forgiveness, but forgiveness is not an overnight process because there are a lot of mental events that you may have to process before you're ready to forgive. So if forgiving does not come easily, that's okay. Continue to work on it. But you can still give yourself permission to heal while working on forgiving. You can tell yourself that you are choosing to make better choices for your life because you're not going to let this person control aspects of your life any longer. You're giving yourself permission to move forward. The second step to rebuilding your ego would be defining the person that you want to be post-traumatic relationship. We talk a lot about defining yourself and your personality on this channel. It's important that you sit down and figure out the person that you want to be in this life. Because as you heal from the past traumatic relationship, different mindsets are going to come up, different beliefs are going to come up. And if you don't have a person to compare those mindsets and beliefs to, your healing process can be very sporadic. Your healing process can feel good some days and bad other days. And what this leads to are bad choices some days and good choices on other days. But if you have an idea of the person that you want to be as you heal, on the bad days, you still have a reference to the person you're becoming. You still have a direction that you're moving in, as opposed to being overwhelmed by all of the past traumatic events that the person had put you through before. Next, I want to talk about learning how to reshine the spotlight on yourself. When you are in a relationship, or if you have someone very close to you who has a lot of toxic masculine energy, that person can often assert toxic aggression and this idea that everything has to be the way that they want, if not, there will be consequences. So this can often lead to a spectrum of consequences in the relationship. On the safest end of the spectrum, there can be a lot of arguments and a lot of disagreements. On the less safe end of the spectrum, there can be physical, sexual abuse and emotional abuse, and then everything that falls in between that. So the way that, if you are out of this relationship, the way that you can begin to heal from this is by realizing that and giving yourself permission to refocus your thoughts on yourself. If you're in a relationship with someone where you're always arguing, you become the type of person that's prepared to argue. If you're in a relationship with a person who is physically or sexually abusing you, you create defense mechanisms just in case a time is about to come where you are physically or sexually abused. It goes into your ego, it goes into your identity, where you become a person who's always on the defense because you don't know what to expect. And that takes a lot of mental energy. That's very draining. So hallelujah that you're out of the relationship, but now it's time to retrain your brain to focus on yourself. I know from experience, when you are with someone who you are constantly arguing with, constantly trying to train them how to treat you like a person, and that never works, by the way. But when you're constantly trying to teach this person how to treat you like a person, that's what your mind becomes accustomed to doing. So we have to get back into the mindset of already being there, knowing that we don't have to train people to treat us like people. We don't have to raise little boys. We don't have to raise children, okay? Unless there are children, but we don't have to raise grown people. So it's bringing your mindset back to all the things that light you up, giving yourself permission to start thinking about your career again, to start thinking about what makes you happy, how you like to dress, how you like to spend your time, who you want to be, and what lights you up the most inside. You will feel guilt. It's not even a maybe. You will feel guilt when you start to do this. So it's about the process of learning how to hear that guilt, that guilty voice when it comes up, and say, brain, I love you, but we only feel guilty because for so long we were with a person who made us feel guilty for thinking about ourselves. But what I've learned in life is that if you don't think about yourself, nobody else will. So learning how to retrain your mind to put the spotlight on you, because this is your life. Also learning how to refocus on all your positive attributes. What is it about you that makes you awesome? Often being in a relationship with someone with toxic masculinity means that the good parts of you were often downplayed, because if your good parts are accentuated, you may be harder to control. So beginning to redefine all the amazing parts about you. And unfortunately, your first thought might be, there's nothing amazing about me. I am no longer in a relationship, and until I find somebody else to be in a relationship with, there's nothing amazing about me. And that type of thinking will mean that your next relationship will be toxic. Okay, so we want to repair that type of thinking by rewiring our brain to recognize all the amazing things about us. If you go out and you hold the door for someone, then you can think to yourself, that was nice of me. I am a nice person. If you get dressed and you wear an outfit and you're like, this outfit looks good, you can say to yourself, I have a good sense of style. I know how to put myself together. I know how to dress. If you like to read, I'm intellectual. I love reading books and exploring worlds, which means I'm really good at expanding my mind. Beginning to allow yourself to breathe life into all the good parts of yourself and to become aware of your good parts, because that's how you become aware of your self-worth when you're ready to re-enter the dating pool, or when you're ready to fully forgive a family member or wherever this toxic masculinity came from. Learning to heal your perspective of masculine energy. It is not your fault if you get out of a bad relationship and you see that bad in everything. That's what our brain does. So if you are always arguing with a person, it's very easy to think that you can't get along with any men, or you can't get along with anyone with masculine energy. If you are in a sexually or physically abusive relationship, it's very easy to expect that same type of sexual and physical abuse in your next relationship. So all this to say, a big part of healing your ego and becoming a person who attracts abuse and attracts argumentative relationships. And remember, just because you attract something doesn't mean that you deserve it. You attract whatever your brain expects. So that's when you can begin to retrain your mind to be the type of person that trusts people with masculine energy. Instead of projecting what you went through in the past on other people, you can adopt the mindset that every person on this planet is different in different ways. And you don't know what to expect, and you have no expectations until you continue to get to know the person. The only way that you can do this confidently, and I'm not saying this is easy, but the only way that you can do this confidently is by understanding what was toxic about your last relationship. Both sides, masculine and feminine, because there is feminine toxicity as well. An example of this is being a pushover and being afraid to assert yourself. That is toxic femininity. When you understand what was toxic about your last relationship, that allows you to feel gratitude that relationship is over. Genuine gratitude, because you know that you're out of it and that it's done. But also understanding what was toxic about your last relationship gives you permission to move throughout the world knowing that you never have to deal with it again. If you get out of a relationship without understanding what went wrong, what stops you from attracting the same type of person? You don't know what red flags to look for. You don't know what type of behavior to run from, because you didn't take the time to mentally go through what the last person did and what you did to create the toxic environment that was created. And just to clarify, I'm not saying that anyone did anything to be physically or sexually abused. That's not what I'm saying. I'm more so talking about what attracted one person to be in a relationship with another person. That's what I mean. Let me clear that up. The reason why this is so powerful is because it gives you a confidence when it comes to dating again and when it comes to getting to know people again. Because instead of being afraid of everything, you become aware of red flags. So if you start dating someone, you can identify paranoia, and you can identify when your brain's just saying, oh, he's just like the last one, right? You can learn to identify that. So you could say, brain, I know we were in that last relationship for 7 years, but we are still evolving. We are still changing. This new person hasn't given us a real reason to not trust them. And because you are so aware of the red flags in your last relationship, you can identify them moving forward. When you're dating someone and red flags start to come up, because you've now done this self-work, you're not afraid to walk away from the red flags, because now you're aware of the pain that the last relationship caused. So when you are dating someone and they show that they have friends who are sexually abusive or physically abusive or even verbally abusive to their partners, when you realize that the person you're currently dating has friends who are like this, that's a red flag. That's enough grounds to break up. And you have that confidence to say, I'm walking away from this because I don't want this again. If you catch your new partner lying, that's a red flag. I'm not going through this. I'm walking away. I think that there's definitely some thought that needs to go into boundaries and what you're willing to take and what you're not. But the best viewpoint comes from retrospect. Did I say that right? Just comes from understanding the past and how you've navigated your way through past relationships and what worked and what didn't. That gives you the confidence and the awareness to navigate in new spaces instead of just feeling like you're feeling your way through the dark. The answers are there, but they're often in the past. So understanding the past a little more allows you to move through the future more confidently with a better understanding of what you want and what you deserve and how you choose to feel. When you learn how you want to feel about yourself, going back to that very first step, identifying the person you want to be. You want to be a person who always feels confident, who has a partner who makes you feel confident. When you identify that and then you meet someone, if they don't vibrate on the same level as how you want to feel, you can identify that and make a choice instead of life just happening to you. Because you have so much power. You have so much power. All right, you guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it because I love this feminine energy series. I will continue to make videos for it. And yeah, if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up so other people on the two of you know that it's valuable. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below and I will address those questions in a future video. And last but not least, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you click that notification bell so that you can join the Bendy Bunch and be a reality bender yourself. Now, if anything I mentioned in this video it really resonates with you and you really want to work on it, this is the last thing for sure. Just a reminder that I do have the Manifestation Yoga Collective, which is a group of people who want to commit themselves to their manifestation by being held accountable as well as using meditation and yoga to work through blocks. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, check out the link in the description box. Okay, that's it. I love you so much and I will talk to you next video. Bye.